Welcome to Season 9, Episode 23 of the Ubuntu Podcast. It's Tuesday the 2nd of August, and we're going to discuss what's been happening in the news and community. I'm Martin, and joining me this week is Mark.
Hello.
Hello, and Alan.
Hello, hello.
And Laura.
Hiya.
Hello, everyone. So, Laura, what have you been up to since last time we got together?
A lot of yoga, Pilates and Tai Chi, and I ate quite a lot.
Not running this time?
Oh, I've been running, yeah. I've been doing parkrun. I did parkrun up at Ali Pali Parkrun in North London at the weekend.
For those of our listeners who are not from London, Ali Pali is what?
It's Alexandra Palace, but that's the name of the parkrun. It's Ali Pali Parkrun.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
Are you being a moderator or whatever they call it, or are you actually taking part now?
Actually taking part now. So I ran up and down hills. Got very hot.
Are your legs fixed now then?
Sort of. As long as I don't overdo it. Hence the lots of yoga.
Does that help?
Yep. Because it's my muscles that are just a bit tight.
Ah, I see. And Alan, what have you been up to since last time we spoke?
So I discovered that we had a leak under our house, and lots of water had been leaking into the floor under our house. So I've been trying to consider where I can go to work, which isn't sat in my den, because there's going to be dehumidifiers running constantly to dry out all the wet. So,
How did you discover the leak?
the brickwork on the outside, really low down, was damp on a non-damp day. And Claire saw it and said, that's not right. And then a little while later, we thought it might just be rain water, like collecting or like running down the bricks and collecting at the bottom. But then she saw there was mould on the inside of the wall. And I don't know if you remember, we had a height chart stuck on the wall.
Yes.
It was like a comedy height chart.
Yeah,
And
I was on there.
Yes, you were. Unfortunately, we pulled that off the wall, and the mould had gone up the other side of the thing. It was like 4 foot up. Yeah, it was horrible. So we ripped that off and threw it away. So we've thrown away all of that record of all those heights of the children. I was really annoyed about that. More than the damp, more than mould. The fact that we had that record of everyone's heights. Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
I'll never know if I've grown any taller.
No, you will never know.
I mean,
There's
all
no
that
other way
Pilates
to
as
know.
well, there's a good chance that you've, added an inch or two.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all good fun. But it's all insured, so that's fine. So,
Good.
yes.
Just a hassle now.
Yeah, it's just a pain in the butt, that's all.
So this will be the Alan Roadshow podcast for a couple of months, won't it?
Yes, well, either that or I'll just come in here and turn everything off and then turn it all back on again afterwards. I don't know. I don't know.
That sounds very computery, turning everything off and on again.
It's the way I do things.
Well, shall we get on with it?
Let's-
Yes.
And now it's time for the news. And first up in the news this week, former OwnCloud Inc. employee Carla Schroeder has published the other side of the OwnCloud Nextcloud fork story.
Ooh, there's another side to it, is there?
Sounds interesting.
There's two sides to every story, Alan.
Oh, right, okay.
I heard there was 3, but okay.
So what she
yes.
said?
Well, up until now, the Nextcloud people have been painting the choice to fork and form the Nextcloud company as a sort of moral decision that they felt that they couldn't operate within the structure of the former OwnCloud company, and it wasn't serving the community and so on. However,
Which, to be fair, did sound a little over-pious at the time.
yes, Carla Schroeder has said that actually it was more like Frank Karlashek did a deal with Spreed, who are now funding Nextcloud, behind the backs of the rest of OwnCloud, and then sabotaged what was an upcoming acquisition of OwnCloud, which would have injected some money and resources into the OwnCloud project. So she accuses him of backstabbing his partners in a shady deal.
And losing employee jobs in the US.
Yes.
Of which she is one, I believe.
Yes.
She is one, yes.
That's really sad. I mean, you can understand why they put a marketing spin on, a PR spin on why they're forking, because hostile forks never seem to be a popular thing. Nobody really wants that, or usually wants that, and usually don't get to hear all the politics behind why these things actually happen. It's somewhat surprising that, someone's actually published a story that shows another side of it. Usually it comes out much later, or it's all kept very quiet.
It's not just her blog post. There was a tech journalist who investigated this and reported much the same thing back at the time that Nextcloud was set up.
Right. But not many people spread that information very wide. I mean, I didn't even see that article that you're mentioning, the Fortune one.
No, and I think that's the problem. I think it was Carla's post complains that all the tech journalists took the marketing spinners on its face value, apart from this one journalist who at Fortune who investigated it more. Apparently.
So the net result of this is OwnCloud still exists, Nextcloud exists, and some people are of the opinion, I would imagine, that it doesn't matter what the politics are, show me the code. And so long as the code is good, you can kind of, forgive whatever backroom politics, because, it's business and that kind of stuff happens. But I can imagine some people will avoid Nextcloud as a result of hearing this, perhaps. But then what's the other option? Is to go back to OwnCloud, and maybe you haven't got the developer base that moved on to Nextcloud. So you're kind of scuppered in your choices there, really.
I guess it'd be interesting to know how much of OwnCloud went to Nextcloud in the end. Yeah. Well, it seemed to be, all the people they wanted, as in, the people who are actually contributing, went
the
over.
technical talent,
Yeah, the people the investors wanted to invest in.
Right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that and see if there's any feedback from Frank and the rest of the Nextcloud team, but I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't, although it'd be interesting to see if any other US employees of OwnCloud Inc. step up and make their voices heard. I have heard privately some people have said similar things, but I've not seen anyone publicly say it.
Next up, 1.2 million euros for open source projects.
Doesn't sound as good when it's euros.
No. What is that now? It's about 10 billion pounds or something, isn't it?
A lot more than it used to be.
So this is a fund to support the implementation of ideas in civic technology, data literacy, data security and software infrastructure, with individual grants of up to €30,000 for software developers and hackers and creatives, it says, to write code and develop open source prototypes over a 6-month period. This is another one of these great, things. We're starting to see more of these, aren't we? Initiatives to invest money into open source.
Yes. So who's investing the money?
I think it's the German government, the federal government.
Is it the federal government, or is it like a Quango affiliated with
I saw the word federal somewhere, but that might be a different context. I don't quite know how the German government works anyway.
If we fill for just a few seconds while I look at the website.
Okay.
So where are they getting applications from? So who qualifies?
The website is prototypefund.de. There is only 59 days remaining until the deadline, and there's a big button on the website, apply now.
It's individual developers. I don't know if they have to be of a particular nationality.
I'm guessing
you have to provide all of your answers in German, so I think this gives us a clue.
But the site's in English.
Maybe only...
there's an English version or
forms,
But still.
Here we go. If you're a German resident, self-employed and paying German taxes, German citizenship is not required. And the money comes from the Federal Ministry of Education and Research, but the project itself is being run by the Open Knowledge Foundation Germany.
So this is to catch all the people in Berlin who aren't necessarily Germans.
Yes.
So anyone can apply, providing that you're living and paying taxes in Germany. Is that a fair summary?
Providing that you're living and you're paying taxes.
And you must be self-employed or freelance, and you can only apply for yourself.
Let's all move to Germany.
I'll be sending this link to some people who I know are freelance open source developers living and working in Germany. Yeah, I shall point them in this direction. This is great.
Excellent.
So the UK has topped the UN e-government survey, which is rather cool. So apparently there seems to be some kind of indexing of government efforts to provide access to public services and data online, it says. And we were 8th in the development index and 6th in the participation index in 2014. I have no idea what the categories mean. But we're now top of both of them, which can only be a good thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it is noticeable. I've noticed over the last 5 years or so that there are more and more government services that I go to where there's a very standard look and feel of the site, and they operate in a very similar way. It's all very easy to read. It's not tons of text on the page. You know, you're presented with just one or two things to enter. Like if it's anything to do with your car, you just punch in your number plate and your address or your date of birth, or, there's only minimal data, and it can go and extract and figure out, who you are and what you want to do. And it seems really straightforward, and it's quite amazing that we've got, it's like, hang on a minute, this is us. How are we doing this well? It's surprising.
Yeah, I love gov.uk, and there's a lot of people bitch about it, but I really love it. And I mean, I do know some people who have worked there or do work there, and so I think it was a big part of it was Francis Maud, the Conservative MP for Horsham, who really gets digital stuff, and he was responsible for it, but he's now stepped down from government, I think. I don't know if he even stood in election last time or whether he's planning to step down next time. I can't remember. But he's not in main government anymore. And then there was a whole lot of toing and froing with people in charge of it. And there seems to be an awful lot of civil service rubbish going on at the moment. And there are people who don't like it. I think there are people who see that it's taking away from opportunities for the big businesses. Because the focus is on small business and medium businesses doing small contracts and then having a lot of people in-house. So that means they have the expertise to judge the development of the projects, which is only a good thing, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yes.
I occasionally go to the Open Rights Group meetups in Winchester, and there's a guy that attends there who is one of the designers for gov.uk, and it's very interesting listening to him explain just how much effort they go to in designing the web forms to be consistent throughout the whole of the gov.uk infrastructure and work in a sensible way and be simple to use and appeal to people that are from different demographics and backgrounds and age groups.
Yes.
And also overwhelming just how much more there is still for them to do and refine, that it's like this never-ending task. But yeah, it is really pleasing to see that, it was an initiative that was tackled, and it seems to be really paying off.
And it's really, really highly regarded internationally as
yes.
Well, clearly by this UN e-government survey, that sounds. It's funny. I think it's one of those departments that's getting significantly sized that most people who work in tech probably know someone who works there.
Yes.
Like I know half a dozen people, of which most of them used to work at Canonical, now work at Government Data Services.
Yes.
So,
And I've seen quite a few presentations, like you say, Martin, at different conferences where people have talked about some particular service they redesigned, and they seem to be taking a service at a time, really kind of calmly, and just dealing with it and making it work before they move on to another one. And I think it's great, but it sounds like it's under threat.
In other news, Google has added YouTube to their HTTPS transparency report and indicated that 97% of YouTube traffic has been migrated from insecure HTTP to secure HTTPS. This must be good news.
Yeah, I mean, the really amazing thing about this is that's all of the video streaming. That's not just like requests for the pages. That's all of the data for all of the videos being encrypted and streamed on the fly. And they said they didn't need any extra hardware.
Wow.
So why do you need to encrypt the video that you're watching on YouTube, given like, I can understand a software download. You don't want a man in the middle to inject malware into your software download. But, for a numpty, why do I care if the cat video or whatever that I'm watching on YouTube is being served up from a secure site?
What if it's not a cat video? What if it's a political video, for example, and you don't want someone else to know that you're watching a particular political video?
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I realize that, there are some people out there who say, who seem to feel that you shouldn't question, HTTPS. It should be, on for everything. There should, why are you questioning it? It should just be blanket switched on. What possible argument could you have for not doing HTTPS everywhere? And we get this in Ubuntu because our ISO images and some other bits and bobs are served up over HTTP, and we get flack from people saying you should serve that over HTTPS. And we try and explain, the reasons why we don't currently, but that the counter argument is always, well, you should. And I find it kind of frustrating talking to people who have this like blanket everything should be HTTPS, no argument. There is no possible counter argument.
There's a misconception that using HTTPS means that the whole thing is encrypted and therefore you're leaking no data, which is not true at all. If I go to an HTTPS site, and this is the metadata that, the governments talk about collecting.
Your internet record.
Yes, my internet record,
So,
yes.
What Mark said about people knowing you're watching something that's not a cat video, that wouldn't be the case then?
True. But, HTTPS is valuable if you want to ensure that the body of the communication is encrypted, which is obviously good for shopping and banking and what have you. But when you're serving up ISO images, like Alan was just talking about, then really you're not so much concerned about encryption, but rather the integrity and the provenance of the thing that you're downloading. And that's why the distributions publish those SHA-256 sums, so that you can confirm that the thing that you've downloaded is in fact the thing that you've downloaded.
And those are served up over HTTPS from the wiki and other places. But yeah, so I can understand how someone might argue, everything should be over HTTPS, but sometimes it's not.
Everything should be over HTTPS, in my opinion, but there are misunderstandings about why.
Cool. In other security news, Mark,
your battery is now the latest thing to worry about on your mobile device, and not just because you may run out due to over Pokemoning.
What now?
So this is some research from Princeton University around a new web API called the Battery Status API, which allows web pages to look at your current percentage charge in your battery and the amount of seconds left before it discharges. And they found that this is actually an effective vector for uniquely identifying a device across sites. Because if you have two sites open, even if one of them is in a different browser in an incognito mode, if you have the same advert, for example, loaded on both, they can pick up on your battery status, and the combination of the percentage and number of seconds left is a fairly good unique identifier for a device at a particular point in time, and even more so if you log that over a number of minutes while you're on the page.
Did I read that when this was proposed, that there was originally dissenting voices saying you shouldn't be exposing this, this is what will happen.
Yes.
And now proof of concept has happened.
Yes, and in fact I've tried some demos, and this isn't like where it accesses your camera or your microphone where it pops up and says, do you want to give your web page this? It's automatically allowed. There's no restriction on it for the web page. And
it does just work. You open a browser and it shows you what your battery level is inside the browser without ever asking you anything.
Yeah. We'll include a link in the show notes so you can test it for yourself.
Yes. I mean, the legitimate use for this is, for example, so that a nice web page could serve you a version without stuff which is going to drain your battery, like videos or lots of JavaScript in, if it detects that you're on low battery.
Or one example I read about is Uber used this to determine if your battery is about to fail.
No, they don't. they've done
they
some
don't?
research that shows that it's possible to do this. They say they don't do this before we
so
got
basically,
sued.
they determined that people are more likely to pay for surge pricing if they happen to be on low battery level, and they use that by using the device APIs with their app.
Right, so that's slightly different because that's a local app as opposed to being a website.
But it does show, it's been shown that companies often do funny things with their pricing depending on, like, have you visited that site already, and things like that. So, it's another thing that's open for abuse.
Absolutely. And that's the end of the news. And now it's time for community news and events. What's up first, Laura?
So they've announced NetPlan on the Ubuntu mailing list, which is a consolidated YAML network configuration across Ubuntu. And as far as I can tell from the post, all the different networky type services do things in a different way at the moment. And someone's suggesting that they should use a centralized YAML source to get their configuration data.
That's brilliantly summarised.
Excellent.
Yes, that's exactly it.
I know everything I'm talking about.
Yeah, it sounds like a neat idea to have a deployed, like, plain text, easily readable or machine deployable or machine readable format file that can describe the network configuration of your estates, laptops, desktops, servers, cloud infrastructure, IoT devices. Could be anything, describing the network configuration, whether it's DHCP, where the DNS servers are, where they get their config from, all that kind of stuff.
What's a YAML?
It's a text. It's a format.
Very simple text file.
The new hotness mark.
Yes, the new shiny. Yes.
Yeah.
It's actually. I think.
It's not even new, really, is it?
I think Mr. Langridge, I've mentioned him last episode, and I have to apologise now for what I said about him last episode. You can go back and listen and find out I was wrong. So I apologise, Stuart. And in this episode, I'll mention him in a good light, because I think he was the first one who told me YAML was great and everyone should use YAML for everything. And I've now attributed something to him which is probably incorrect again. So he will ping me on Telegram. I know when he's listened to the show because he pings me on Telegram and tells me when I'm wrong. Yes. Hello, Stuart.
So if you want to put like a URL to the YAML file in your software, for instance, then it can call home to check on the server for the YAML file, which contains, say, the latest version details. We use it a little bit for cloud stuff, so it can go look up the latest version that you want to pull into a new instance.
Yep.
Nice.
Next up, DistroWatch have comprehensively reviewed the Meizu Pro 5 Ubuntu edition. This is a shocker, isn't it? DistroWatch doing phones.
Yeah,
have you read this?
I have. Well, I scanned it, and there didn't seem to be too much shouty bits. It was pretty positive all the way through, I thought.
It was very well considered and a well-balanced view, and also pointed out the shortcomings in some of the other reviews that have been out there that were very shallow in their focus. And yeah, I think they've done a really great job in actually covering some of the subtleties of the Ubuntu phone, and also some of the features that people just disregard and overlook. They've done a whole piece on looking at scopes and actually identifying what they're useful for, what the use case is. It was quite enlightening. It really motivated me again to dust off all of my Ubuntu devices and remind myself why it is I must get off this Android habit and switch some things over.
In other news, distro contributors and developers have written up their experiences of attending the recent Snappy Sprint in Heidelberg. So you'll recall a couple of weeks ago, myself and Martin were in Heidelberg for this sprint, and a bunch of community people were invited along to sit alongside Canonical developers to help shape the way forward for Snappy, Snapcraft, Snapd, both on Ubuntu and on other distributions. And there's some good write-ups. Fedora contributor Neil Gomper wrote up. He was a very active in many of the discussions at the sprint. He wrote up from a Fedora point of view. KDE developer Harold Sitter, who I had never met before and is an absolutely lovely chap. Spent a good while in the bar discussing KDE and Blue Systems and all kinds of things. He's written up a really nice and positive and lengthy piece. And Debian maintainer Luke Farone, I think that's right, isn't it? It's not Farone.
Farone. Let's go with that.
Yeah, that'll do. Also wrote up his experience on his blog, and we'll put a link to all three of those in the show notes.
Yep. So it's another week, and there's another Skype update for Linux.
So they're sticking to it, aren't they?
Yeah. I haven't tried it.
No, I still haven't tried it.
We're
6 weeks in now, and I've still not installed it or tried it.
And they're doing a release every 2 weeks, I believe.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, you use Franz, don't you, Martin?
I do.
I think that connects to Skype. And doesn't it connect to this version of Skype, not the old peer-to-peer one?
It does. It does, but I've only used it for text. I only use Franz for text-based communications. It's like my, 21st century Pigeon replacement.
Right.
But I don't know if it supports video calling in Franz. I've no reason to find out if it does or it doesn't. So.
I don't think it even does outside Franz yet.
Maybe not on Linux, certainly. But if anyone knows any more about what you can and can't do with Skype web services, do let us know. Be interested to hear about that.
Yeah, if anyone's tested it, let us know, if it's better than the old PSP one and if it actually works. Obviously, it's evil proprietary software and we don't care about it, and there are plenty of other options. Yes, we know that.
Yep, and if you're looking for an option, go to ring.cx for your free and open source Skype alternative.
Great.
Also up this week, Ubuntu Touch OTA 12 has been released, which includes biometric authentication for the Meizu Pro 5. So, yeah. Alan, are you now guarding your thumbs and fingers from people wanting to, sever them from your person so they can authenticate on your...
Well, this is a 3D print one.
Yes, my fingerprint is my username, not my password, as they say. I was testing this before it became OTA 12, when it was in a release candidate a few weeks ago. And I made a video of me unlocking my phone by swiping my thumb on the fingerprint reader on the bottom of the device.
You didn't accidentally reveal your fingerprint on the video, did you? No, someone will 3D print it.
Yeah. I don't think the camera on my phone is that good, to be honest. But I did that, and while I was at the sprint, I was chatting to Thomas Voss, who did the implementation of the biometric stuff on the phone, and he said, design misunderstood. They thought you had to swipe. So in fact, in the control panel thing, where you initially tell it what your fingerprints look like by pressing the button multiple times so it learns your fingerprint, the information on the screen says swipe, which leads you to believe you have to swipe, but actually you don't. It's just a button. You press it and you could just put your thumb on it. And I thought it was quick when you swipe, but actually it's like instantaneous if you just put your thumb on it and press it. It's
interesting.
It's stupidly fast at unlocking the device. It's amazing. So yes, I like it. And I made that video, published it, and then Mike Sheldon, who works for Canonical on things like the keyboard, download manager, and a bunch of other things, said he'd make a video showing unlocking the phone using his toe.
So you're going to say his tongue?
His toe, his big toe. And he actually did. He made a nice little video of him. Oh no, my hands are full. How do I unlock my phone? And then pressed the button with his toe and it unlocked the phone. Brilliant. We should put a link to that in the show notes.
Yeah, find that video. Let's do that thing. That sounds like fun.
That's all the news. Next up is events. Martin.
Yeah, we've got some events. So first up, we have an OggCamp update. So bad news, I'm afraid, folks. OggCamp 2016 isn't going to happen. It came close on at least 2 occasions, but it's not going to happen this year. But what has happened is that a new organising team has now been assembled, and they're working towards OggCamp 2017. So, yay, OggCamp 2017. OggCamp 2016. But What they
Partridge.
I'm here all week. But what they do point out is that there are 3 upcoming events in the UK that you could attend instead, and they are
Foss Talk Live, a free evening of live Linux podcasts featuring Linux Voice, Linux Luddites, and us.
Woohoo.
And that is this Saturday as we record.
So by the time you hear this, you've got 2 days to sort yourself out. There are no tickets left. You probably won't get in, but you can come to the event venue and have drinks and hang out with all the other geekery personnel that are going to be there.
So the Harrison is a pub and the event is downstairs in the basement.
Yeah.
And they're not expecting everybody to be at every podcast show.
Yeah.
So
you might
be
get
able to
lucky.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's at the Harrison in King's Cross in London, Saturday, 6th of August, and you can find out more at fosstalk.com.
So which one's next, Laura?
Wuthering Bites.
Love it.
I know. This is on the 2nd to the 11th of September at Hebden Bridge in West Yorkshire, and it's a week-long festival of technology in the heart of the Pennines. Each day has got a theme of various kinds, and there's a website, wutheringbites.com.
And finally, Alan?
Barcamp Manchester is a 2-day conference for you to share your knowledge, inspire people and learn new things. It's at City Labs Manchester in England, 24th to the 25th of September 2016, and you can find out more on their website, barcampmanchester.co.uk.
Brilliant.
We love getting your feedback, so please send it to us. Even the pointlessly mean stuff makes us laugh. If it's short, tweet us on @Ubuntu Podcast. If it's less short, but please no essays, email us on show@ubuntupodcast.org. If you'd like to discuss some of the things we talk about with other listeners, post on our shiny new subreddit at reddit.com/r/Ubuntu Podcast. Or you can just leave a comment on the relevant show notes on our website, ubuntupodcast.org.
And that's all for episode 23. We'll be back this weekend with our live show at Foss Talk Live. And for those who can't make Foss Talk Live, we'll be back next week when we'll be interviewing the elementary team, and we will bring you some command line love.
Awesome. Looking forward to that.
Yes.
Is it another pillow cast?
Pillow and duvet cast.
Excellent. I look forward to that very much.
That's
So
quite
there's
disturbing.
3 episodes this week.
Yeah.
This one,
Yeah.
What a
the one on the
treat.
weekend, and
Personal
then one-
best.
Golly gosh. Busy. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Foss Talk Live? Stop recording or something?